Right, hello and welcome to the Hall of Fame. I've got some very, very special guests here to meet with me today. And we're going to be talking about their journey as they basically overcome the odds. They've got out of their comfort zone and they've achieved more than anybody expected them to achieve in our most recent charity event. They actually won the award for Game Changer, as in they totally changed the game for our charity event this year for Get Up and Give Back. They're wonderful people. They've been on the program now for around nine or so months. And they're going to share with you how you can basically get yourself out of your comfort zone, overcome the odds, and absolutely smash any target you want out of the park. So I'm going to introduce the very, very lovely Mrs. Bernadette and Mr. Ian Lloyd. Hello, guys.
Hi there. Hey, Josh.
And you're joining us from sunny Wales at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us in the Hall of Fame. Well done for actually getting yourselves in there. Now, the one-liner here, if you like, is going from scared social to social success. And one of the things we want to touch on in this interview is we're going to talk about your relationship with social media and how you basically use that even though you're uncomfortable with it, and how you overcame the odds and how you basically just did whatever you could out of your comfort zone to get it done, and ended up with a pretty incredible result with your fundraising, which we'll talk through very, very soon. So firstly, can you start us off with just giving us a bit of a background to you guys? So who are you? What does your company do? And how long have you been on the Property Entrepreneur Program for? And how did you get started?
Yeah. Well, we've been in property, I guess, full time for about 7 years now. And over that time, we've built up what we thought was a successful property company. We got quite a few single lets, we got some HMOs, we've got service accommodation, we've got some joint venture developments going on, and we've developed that over over a period of time that's allowed us to get a very, very busy and noisy business. So we got to a point, I guess about a year ago, where we were looking at how do we, put a better structure in place? How do we start to realize some of the goals that seem to be eluding us? So we were working phenomenally hard in the business, but it just seemed to be, always one step away from allowing us to be successful. So we came on, that's why we came on PE about 9 months ago, was to start to, get some structure around our business and help drive us forward to our goals.
Yeah. So where were you? Like, just give us your name of your company. What actual specific thing does it do? And how big was it? What kind of team did you have? What did you like? Why was it messy? Why was it noisy?
Well, and that's part of the answer, I guess. We have, because we've got a group company. So our company is IBL Group, which is effectively sits on top of a number of other companies. So we got IBL Homes, which is our hold company. We've got Kunga, which is our commercial to residential development. We've got IBL Property Services, which is our coaching and mentoring company. We've got IBL Developments, where we do some flips. We've got
nice. So lots going on.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of structure there, but it was consuming us because we've got some staff. We've got somebody who we brought in to do bookkeeping, which was a phenomenally good move. But we've tried that route several times. This is probably the third or the fourth person we've outsourced bookkeeping to, and we're thinking, what are we doing wrong here? Because we're trying to follow the what we thought was the blueprint, and we were just getting it wrong. So somebody's just trial and error. We didn't know which way to turn in terms of growing the team, and we just, I guess, let in the noise overtake where we were and what we were trying to do in the business. So there's lots of stuff, lots of money coming in, lots of money going out, but it never felt like we were on target to what we wanted to achieve. And probably going to perhaps wealth management, we just struggled to be in flow with what we thought was where we really wanted to be.
Where would you say you are now? So that was kind of 9 months ago. I appreciate you've not been on Property Entrepreneur for too long. Where have you got yourselves to? What have been the kind of marked changes and differences?
So I think one of the big things is to get our head out of the business so we can actually look at what's going on and think about what we want. So our life by design has been a big shift, if you like. One of our targets was to actually stabilize the letting agency, which is the noisiest business probably, stabilize it, grow it, and eventually sell it. So everything that we do on Property Entrepreneur has been towards making that function better. So we're not there at all, but having been through the winter and the spring, summer for us is going to be still in the businesses to just keep stabilizing them and keep everything going. But I think we're actually at the point where we're beginning to see some light in us being able to go and do stuff like traveling that we wanted to do. So
perfect. So you're starting to move in that right direction, get a bit of freedom back and get that strategy. So I want to talk to you guys then about today and the reason we actually want to do the Hall of Fame, because you've had remarkable success in your businesses so far. You're remarkably successful people. I remember Bernadette, I met you about 5 years ago. Do you remember we did, myself and my business partner Phil did a talk at down at Hin or Birmingham, and you asked us if you speak at Swansea Pins. You've been around the block, you've been here for years, you've been doing this for a very, very long time. But you've not really kind of gravitated towards the use of social media and those kind of different elements. So you managed to grow these successful businesses without that. And let's talk about how that had to change, because we started the challenge, Get Up and Give Back. Do you want to show your t-shirt?
Yeah.
The guys don't just wear matching t-shirts in the office. These are the t-shirts. We completed the challenge. That's it. Where basically the challenge was to walk 100 million steps with 100 property entrepreneurs. And obviously you guys took part in this. Now, we all pledged to raise some money. And then the blueprint was take us around to show you exactly how to do this using the oversubscribed methodology to basically show you how you can basically fundraise. And although we're raising money for charity, you can use this for anything: sales, raising money for investments, developments. And a big part of this is social media. Now, talk us through your attitude and your concerns around social media at the time.
I guess the first part is that we almost didn't do the charity event because we knew that we'd have to reach out and be on social media to get the donations and whatever, and that just didn't fill us with much joy at all. So it was a bit of a shall we or shan't we at the very beginning, and I guess we felt there was an obligation and it's a good cause, and it's something that we just had to do. So so that was almost the first hurdle that we had to overcome right at the very beginning.
Yeah, so one of the things that we decided when we did decide to do it was to actually do it together, as opposed to, so we only had one joint fundraising amount, which was double what an individual was, the minimum that we could possibly do. But I think that was quite key for me, because I've had a lot of issues around social media and disengaged with it for quite a long time, and I just didn't fancy, I don't have a big group of people, and I didn't want to be putting myself out there and reigniting some of the negative and depressive feelings that happen when I do go onto Facebook and social media. So I wanted to try and avoid that, and I thought by doing it jointly I could get away with it, because Ian would be the one going out on the social media. So
but you still did it. So you still decided to go to do the charitable event. You didn't want to do the social media, but you kind of knew that you're going to have to get there. And you pledged, how much did you pledge?
So we did 1,500.
Cool. So you pledged 1,500 that you're going to raise 1,500. So talk us through that journey to go, right, well, we need to raise this 1,500. Everyone's telling me we should do stuff on social media. Like how did you just, you knew you needed to do it. I'm going to reveal what you actually raised towards the back end of this interview, but how did you push yourself through that? How did you say, right, how did you make yourself do those posts, and how did you make yourselves engage when you didn't want to or you didn't feel comfortable to?
Well, I think sometimes you just got to suck it up, I guess, in a way, and just do some of this stuff. And even though it makes us feel quite sweaty just thinking about having to do these things, because it doesn't come natural. And at the very beginning, we tended to be to think the worst, like, well, nobody's gonna like it, or nobody's gonna make donations because we're not going to reach many people. And we tried to follow the blueprint, and I think at the beginning it was almost like trying to push water uphill. It was really, really hard to get some momentum, but we kept at it. We just, and I'd put a few posts out there, and Bernadette would share them, and gradually we had a couple of donations, albeit some of it was, it was the easy wins in the beginning, because it was some family and whatever who would make some of those donations, which even though it's easy, and his family is still scores, and you feel better about it. So then we'd reach out a bit more, and gradually try to push a little bit harder. But it's not the kind of thing you get to thinking, oh, I quite like this now. It was never, it was a case of, we know it's going to be hard. We know we're not going to like it. And it's like, what is it? Feel the fear and do it anyway. It's, we just said, let's just get on with it. Let's get it done. And the donations did come in. It was never a cascade of stuff. It wasn't a suddenly, you cracked it and it flowed in. It was always, a push to get to the target. But it was, I guess it was persistence in the end that got us close.
I think Josh, there were two key things. One is that all the support around, that Dan Norman was giving out around how to do these things, and how, keep on doing it, and the videos and the interaction with everybody in the community was fabulous. And then when I actually got to a breaking point, because I really didn't think we were going to make it, we were a couple of weeks away and we still haven't got to 1,500. I reached out in the safe Facebook environment, and had so much support in there, with other people feeling the same thing, and encouragement about how to do some smaller things, and other people actually sharing some of my posts to actually broaden where I was going. So I think it wasn't just us pushing against everything, it was everybody supporting as well.
So that's in one of the Property Entrepreneur VIP communities. Yeah. So either the private communities that we have. I remember you doing that post, and you got literally 15, 20 comments just saying, right, just keep going, keep pushing it forward. Yeah. We're going to go on to some kind of top tips and some kind of challenges you face. Well, actually, this is a good opportunity to do that now. What were the challenges around that? Why? So for me, I quite like social media. I've got no problem with it. I've been posting every day for years now. I see the benefits to my business. I don't mind it. It's not, I don't like physically writing a post. I don't get anything out of that, but I don't have an issue with it. And I just see the benefits being worth it, if you like. Because there's so many people that are the opposite. That you guys are not alone. There's I'd say the majority of people are more like yourselves. Like you don't really like it. It's uncomfortable. You don't want to do it. What if you look into the deep reason for that? Like, what is the psychological? And what do you not gel with about it? What's the real root cause of all that? What holds you back from it?
So for me, it's seeing everybody else posting really good stuff on social media and not being able to do that myself. And I know, logically, I know that a lot of the things that are out there are all only just the positive stuff. People don't post all the negative things. But still, in my mind, it still goes round as, everybody's better than me. I don't feel good enough type of thing. So that's my major thing behind that. And the second thing on that is the time. It's so time consuming, because I end up looking at everything else that's on there and not just focusing on what I need to do. So I have to logically break that. So I limit the time that I go on Facebook each day.
Yeah, I think part of it comes back to also to the wealth dynamics again, in terms of we are very, very steel type people, and the attention to detail is good in if you can control it, but sometimes it plays against you as well. So doing a short paragraph and whatever, we find quite difficult, because we want to get it very, very detailed. We wanted to get it as perfect as possible before releasing it, because we don't want any errors, whatever, rather than saying, well, as good is good enough, and just let it go. And so it hurts on the time, because it takes longer to prepare, and it's that fear that it's not right, and people are going to dislike it, and you see all lots of negative stuff on on social media about comments and bullying and all this kind of stuff, and you just think, oh God, I don't want to be part of that, and just overcoming that fear. So,
well, thank you for being honest about that, because I think you struck the head on like two elements there. One is being like a bit of a perfectionist, like wanting this to be absolutely perfect. And we all look at everyone else's content and think it's perfect. But whenever we look at, I'm the same, I look at my own and just see all the issues with it. And the second is just that fear of rejection in a way, that fear of being slated or people going, this is rubbish, or like, why are you posting this? But the reality is it doesn't actually happen when you do it. It's just that kind of fear in your head. So it's yeah, it's really good to understand and get behind the scenes. But you did it anyway. That's the main point. So you raised the stakes. You went for this. You said you were going to raise 1,500. You got uncomfortable and you did it anyway. And then I appreciate towards the end of the journey, you then not only did social media, but I know, Bernadette, you went behind the scenes. You messaged people privately. You're like, whatever I can do to get this done. And that's what you did. So with all that in mind, we're going to share some top tips afterwards, but do you want to just reveal to me the, like you said, you're going to raise 1,500. What was the grand total that you actually pulled in with all your hard work? Even though you're uncomfortable, you didn't want to do it, you almost didn't sign up to the challenge. What did you raise for homeless charity, Buses for Homeless?
4,600.
£4,600. So that's over triple your target. That's over, and this is from people that were almost didn't sign up because they're worried about using social media. Then they use social media and other means, and they raise almost triple the target. I don't know, I can't do the maths on the top of my head, but it's £25 per night for a homeless person to stay on one of these buses. So that's a lot of nights. That's a lot of nights. I'm not going to try. That is a lot of nights. That's what I'll tell you. That is a lot of nights. That is longer than a 2-week all-inclusive holiday at Butlins. So that is like a phenomenal achievement. So well done to you both on doing that. You should be like really proud, particularly about how uncomfortable you felt doing it. I'm going to ask you now just for some top tips. So if you can share with like three or so tips that you give, whether that's related to your experience with property entrepreneurs so far and where you've got the businesses from and to, or whether that's related to people that are in the boat, similar boat to you, don't like social media, don't want to use it, don't see the benefit, hate doing it, worried about fear of rejection. Like, what can you do to kind of get people to get them over that and get them to a point where they're like you, they can massively exceed the targets they set themselves?
Yeah, so I have actually come up with an acronym, in good old PE terms, but it's called ASK. So the first part of that is acknowledge. So for me, it was just, and I think you hear about it as well with, people who have drug and alcohol type problems. It's actually acknowledging that you've got a problem, whatever that might be. So for us, it was around the fundraising, or for me, it was around Facebook and fundraising. But in the business, there's all sorts of things, so acknowledging that you've got a problem. And then the second one is sharing. So when, share it with people, tell people what you're doing, tell people what the problem is. And then the K is really just be confident that, you'll get the support, or you'll find a way and things will work out. So, I think that's the big thing is being more public with it. And, as steel people, we probably wouldn't do that naturally. But I think if people can ask, then they can go a long way.
Perfect. I love the acronym. And by the way, guys, when Bernadette and Ian are talking about being steel, just for those that don't know, on Property Entrepreneur, we do Wealth Dynamics, which is a test by Roger Hamilton. And there's there's basically 4 different, well, there's more than 4. There's 4 kind of general types of energy you can primarily have. And Bernadette and Ian is steel, which means you tend to be a bit more detail orientated, more perfectionist, but you tend to be a little bit more introverted. So generally, I'm the opposite. I'm Blaze, so I'm extroverted. I'm more people orientated. I love relationships, love being out there. So it's doubly harder for them to push through this because that's just not their natural flow of energy. What about yourself, Ian? Have you got any tips?
I think one which is it's perhaps more general but can be related to get up and get back as well is really around getting help, support, and training. I guess at various times we've reached out to various coaches and courses and whatever to have that ongoing training and advancement, and I think that links. We did mastermind, which was really good, and you're part of a good community. You learn lots about property, PE has been for us a different environment in terms of it's much more business related. It's helped us to focus on pulling all the different strands together, understanding the noise and getting rid of it. But one of the really key aspects is the community and the support. And we, when there's some really great and inspiring and sometimes crazy people in the community, and that has helped us when we don't feel so great. That's helped us to keep going during the charity event. There were times you're thinking this is really tough, and there'd always be somebody out there who's got words of encouragement or support or whatever to keep you going, and just being part of that. And partly why we've signed up for next year. We want that journey to continue because we recognize we can't. We could do it on our own. It would take us longer, and we probably wouldn't enjoy it quite so much. So my tip to people is invest in yourself. Be part of a community. Do invest in yourself. Get the training done, but also be around like-minded people, because they will help you every step of the way.
Beautiful. Any more final tips? I think you had a third one, didn't you?
Yeah, and it's really around enjoying the journey, because it's far too easy to get caught up in the goals and caught up in the day-to-day and everything that's going on, at the expense of enjoying each day. And so, although Get Up and Give Back was great and we raised funds and we had it for a really great cause, for us all individually, we were out every day doing our steps, and our challenge to get 15,000 steps in a day was to get out and get 10 done before we actually started work in the morning. So by 9 o'clock, we'd each done 10,000 steps.
And you constantly posted beautiful pictures of Wales, weren't you? Like beautiful coastlines. Yeah, I remember seeing you doing it.
Yeah, so it's enjoy every day. That's the big thing.
Perfect. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. You guys, to be in the boat you were in, where you really didn't want to do it, you almost didn't sign up, to then taking on and pledging £1,500, absolutely smashing that out of the park, getting yourself to 4,500. I hope people can see the wider picture here. This is not just a fundraising challenge. This is not just about social media. It's about how you raise the stakes and you overachieve on any goal you set yourselves. You do what needs to be done. You get things done. You lean in. You ask for support. You surround yourself in an environment with people that are going to help and support you. And that is just like a recipe success. Success is both very, very predictable. And if you do those things, you will overachieve, like Bernadette and Ian did. For anybody who wants to reach out to you guys, can you just give a bit of a brief on how people can follow you or get in touch with you?
Funnily enough, it's not social media is not the key area. The best
Instagram. I thought you might be Instagrammers. I thought you'd be all over Instagram, not Facebook, but Instagram. You're all over it.
No. Email is probably the easiest, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got Ian at procubservices.com and Bernadette at procubservices.com.
Perfect. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. Absolute legends. Absolutely nailed it. Well, congratulations on your prize for Get Up and Give Back, for being the Game Changers of the Year. Absolute inspiration. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Josh. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.